Hi again folks, how you all doing? This is an old Hornby B12 in blue BR livery that was sent to me by a chap called John. He's asked me to have a look at this because the drive gear is stripped and it's slipping. So let's turn on the power and see what happens. Oh dear. Yeah, that's definitely a bad gear. Let's get it into the shed and see what's up. So a Hornby B12 in BR blue livery. First time I've had one of these blue B12s in my hands. I believe this was part of the R1089, the Anglian set. I do like a blue locomotive, and if I ever see one of these at an exhibition or wherever, it'll come home with me for sure. I've been looking out for this model, but I've never seen one at any of the exhibitions I've been at. So yeah, it's nice to get a look at this one. This appears to be in very good condition. It needs a bit of a dust, but nothing's broken, nothing is missing. Tenders seem to be stumbling about on the track a bit. The wheels are very dirty. This used to have the chuffing sound, but thankfully it's either been disabled or worn away. But yeah, a bit of oil required in there, and we'll clean those wheels up. They're absolutely caked in dirt. Maybe let you see, if you can see just how dirty these wheels are. And there's the old chuffing mechanism. This appears to have a Type 7 motor in it, but the drive gear is very visibly worn. I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera. Now that can happen if the motor is loose, so the worm isn't engaging properly, or people have been putting 9-volt batteries on to the wheels with the locomotive upright like that, so there's no upward pressure on the wheels. And if you've not got a good mesh between the worm gear and the drive gear, and you do that, you can cause the gears to grind. And I'm guessing this is probably a brass worm against the plastic drive gear. It's going to wear it down very quickly if the gears grind. If you are going to battery test a locomotive, do it upside down like that. Don't do it like that. And even then, to be honest, if the gears are starting to wear, there is a risk that without the full downward pressure of the locomotive on the wheels, that the gears might grind. And once it starts grinding, it's basically done for. So we'll have to replace that gear. So we'll open this up and get into it. We've got a screw in the rear here. That should now come off. And there we have the Type 7 motor. The metal mount. Oh blimey, there's an awful lot of dust in there. Gee whiz. But you can see there just how worn that drive gear is. I've got spare here, if you look at that from above. That's how it should look. And you look at that drive gear, you can see the big curvature in the teeth. So I'm going to have to pull this wheel and get that out of there and try and fit this one, which I pulled off an old chassis. So let's do that. Of course, there is the question of what caused the gear to start slipping. Don't think the motor's loose, but who knows. We'll fit the new gear and hopefully it'll be okay. That one off. That off. Gets that one off. So the axle goes through the drive gear. So to get it out, I've got to knock it out right through the chassis and through the drive gear. Best thing to do is just a few taps of the hammer. And it should pull out like so. And here is the drive gear. Let's compare it with the replacement. Yeah, L5714, so that's exactly the same gear. That's good. So that's going to fit. You can see there just how worn those teeth are in comparison to that one. So that's fit for the bin. You can see the thread for the crank pin on this wheel. On the inside, it's not sitting flush. If you look at that one there, it's actually inside the wheel. That's how it should be. I don't like that. I'm going to see if that'll fix. There we go. And so it should be flush with the wheel. The axle seems to be clean enough. So put the gear into position. Which way did it go? Came through that way. Slide it through and then push it through. So the axle is pushed through the gear. Give it a wee bit of a help with the screwdriver. We want to make sure we get the other wheel back in the right position. So we need to be careful to quarter it as accurately as possible. Push this on in the same orientation as these two wheels. About there will do it. Push that together. And there we go. Wheel spacing looks okay. I don't think there's a very tight mesh with those gears. Let's put this in the test track and see what happens. Seems okay. I think I've inadvertently bent this pickup. It's not really making contact with the wheel. And you can't get a counter bend in it, so I'll need to take the pickup out. I'm pretty sure this has got a pretty horrible pickup configuration. But I should really take this out anyway. Yeah, it's one of those. At least I can get a bend on that pickup. Right, get a wee look at the axles. They don't seem too bad actually. We'll get some fresh oil in there. Put that down. I think that'll be okay at that. Yeah, it's making contact there. We'll get a wee bit of oil on that motor bearing, and then we'll get some what grease? Get some of this. It's a mixture of silicone grease and PTFE grease. I'll get some of that onto the worm gear. Give that a wee mop up. Right, seems okay. So the drive wheels are fairly clean. We'll give them another clean, but they seem to be okay. The front bogie wheels are in dire need of a good clean, as they always are. Just about every steam locomotive I work on that has a front bogie, the wheels are absolutely filthy. For For some reason, people just don't seem to clean them. But dirty front bogie wheels, well, the dirt's going to get onto the track, but it can also cause the front bogie to make a funny noise or to derail even, so keep them nice and clean. Right, we'll get a wee bit of oil in the front bogie as well. Just going to push this drive gear over a wee bit, not quite central. Should be okay at that, I think. There we are. I think that's pretty much the locomotive done. Let's get a wee look at this 10 dart. Squeaky wheels. These horrible old plastic wheels. So we'll get some oil into them. And then we need to clean these because these are absolutely thick with dirt. You can scrape the dirt off these wheels. They're so bad. So I'm going to scrape all these tender wheels and then go over them with contact cleaner to clean them up properly, but it's not often I have to do this. Look at the dirt that's coming off them, that's just 2 wheels. Got 4 to go. If these were metal wheels, I would take the rotary tool to them, but you don't want to do that with plastic wheels. But I can see why the tender was stumbling about a little bit. Just when I backed it into the shed, it sort of kicked up. And that's what happens, and that's what I'm saying about the front, you know, the front bogie, if the wheels get dirty, they can kick, they can derail. So check your tender wheels, your front bogie wheels, keep them clean. Look at that. So that's the worst of it off. Now get the rest off. I'm going to need a new box of cotton buds. Right. That's much better. We'll give the body a going over with a dusty brush. Put that into there. And there we go. Nice. Okay, let's go and pull it out of the shed. Alright, let's bring out the blue B12. So there we are, that's John's B12 sorted out. Off camera I had another look at the mounting of the motor on this because I suspected that the gears were only just meshing and no more, which meant that any force on the drive gear, could cause it to slip and start to strip, which is probably what happened to this at some point. On looking at it, I found that the rear of the motor had been shimmed by a wee bit of brass to lift the rear of the motor up and lower the worm gear onto the drive gear. A bit of jiggery faffery by Hornby here, I think. These B12s were originally driven by XO4 motors and the chassis is designed for that, but Hornby made these mounts for Type 7 motors to fit the same chassis, which worked very well, but clearly here the motor needed tilted forward just a bit more, so I added a couple of wee washers just to improve the gear mesh. So hopefully this won't suffer from gear stripping again. Otherwise, a very nice locomotive, and I'm definitely on the lookout for one of these. Right, I shall get this packed up and sent back to John. Catch you later, folks.